Let's look at another example of Micah and Irina's behaviour in the women's living quarters. One of the other women in the show, Jackie, is crying about a situation she's experiencing with two men she's dating in the pods. Irina and another woman are comforting her.
He's so pissed. I told him that I had a date earlier today. I didn't tell him that I had a date with Josh. It's like, I just don't want to be with nobody but you.
Irina is listening to Jackie cry with a look of apparent concern on her face. This shows something important. Most narcissists, even obvious ones like Irina, are usually nice to most people around them. However, the closer you get to a narcissist, the more likely you are to have seen them flip and start devaluing somebody. This might be by mocking them, belittling them, shouting at them, giving them a silent treatment, smearing them to others, bullying them, or many, many more. A lot of this devaluing behaviour is done to the narcissist's partner behind closed doors, after the initial golden period has ended. But this sort of behaviour will also sometimes be witnessed by family members and occasionally friends. And this leaves people confused. How is it that sometimes the narcissist seems so nice and kind, and then other times they're abusive and horrible? The answer is that when they're doing nice things, it isn't genuine. They're not doing these things because they actually care about others. They're doing them because they're a very effective way to bring other people under their control, draw an emotional reaction from them, known as fuel, or to get some other benefit such as money. For example, think of how Irina bombarded Amber with sickly sweet flattery in part 2, saying how beautiful the flowers and Amber were. It's not genuine, as we'll see again in a minute with Irina here. There's one final reason why certain types of narcissist will do nice things. It's to maintain their facade of being a kind person to the world. So although a narcissist won't like the actual emotional side of giving support and help to somebody, sometimes they'll do it in order to benefit themselves in other ways, such as gaining control and emotional fuel.
And I just couldn't end it because I just felt like I like Josh and I like Marshall, but Marshall told me he was in love with me and I didn't even know what to say.
What? My friend is hurting.
Laughing in this situation, when you're sat right next to somebody who's crying, is an indicator of a lack of emotional empathy. As I keep saying, no single action alone can determine if somebody is a narcissist. Sometimes regular people can get the giggles and laugh in inappropriate situations when they're uncomfortable. If a person laughed in this situation but didn't go on to display a whole range of other narcissistic indicators over time, we would have to chalk it up to them just being a regular person making a mistake. We have to take the evidence as a whole. But with Irina, we've seen red flag after red flag after red flag, and this is yet another one. What makes it worse here in Irina's case is that she doesn't make any kind of attempt to stifle her laughter or make it seem less obvious. It's clear that she doesn't see anything wrong with this behaviour and isn't embarrassed at all, which again is in line with her past behaviour of being very obvious in her narcissism.
Oh my god. Oh, I didn't even see you there. Do you have a headache or is it men?
As I've discussed before, Micah differs from Irina because she has the facade of being a good person. So she doesn't react in the obvious way that Irina does, and instead puts on a show of concern, saying, "Oh my god," and asking if Jackie has a headache or if it's about men. Once again, Irina shows her lack of empathy and lack of facade in bursting out laughing again.
I just feel so bad that I hurt him.
It's crazy. You didn't do anything wrong. You are doing what you're supposed to be doing.
No.
Like shit's popping up. Wait.
Although Micah put on a display of concern initially, once she's standing where only Irina can see her, she starts grinning and can't seem to leave the situation fast enough, saying she needs to use the restroom and walking away. This indicates a lack of underlying empathy, despite her initial show of caring. Irina just gets up and walks away too, grinning, which prompts what seems to be a look of surprise from the other woman comforting Jackie. Let's return to Micah's relationship with Paul. So far we've seen them agree that they want to be together. Then we saw them both having to break up with other people who they'd connected to. We saw Micah displaying various indicators for narcissism, including a lack of empathy for the person she was breaking up with, Kwame. Paul, on the other hand, looked as if he was struggling with feelings of guilt. The next step on the show is typically a marriage proposal, and clearly this is what Micah and Paul are both expecting during their next conversation, because they've dressed up for the occasion.
How's your morning been?
It's been good. I woke up today and I was like, wow, I feel so relieved. And just I felt really good about everything.
Good.
I can't believe how that all played out. How everything ended with Kwame.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's crazy.
About you?
I don't like knowing that I, hurt somebody, but the right thing happened, and I don't know. I feel like I made the right choice. I really believe that. So yeah, I'm happy.
Cute.
I'm happy.
So we still see Micah showing no signs of emotional empathy for Kwame after breaking up with him the previous day, saying she woke up feeling so relieved and really good about everything. And again, Paul is still showing some concern for the person he had to break up with, saying he doesn't like knowing that he hurt somebody, although he still feels happy and thinks it was the right choice. Paul then goes on a fairly long lead up to a proposal, which I'll skip because it's not relevant.
Will you marry me?
Oh my god. I feel like I feel like we've had a really slow burn, and I feel like outside of here and inside of here, I want to continue to burn with you for the rest of my life. So, yes, Paul, I'll marry you.
Oh my god. Don't drag it out like that. Oh my gosh, yes, finally.
Micah takes over 30 seconds to give even a slight indication on whether she's going to say yes or no. This causes Paul to start looking increasingly nervous and uneasy. After Micah finally lets him know the result, taking a further 10 seconds to get to the yes, Paul bends over from the relief, saying, "Oh my god, don't drag it out like that," while Micah laughs. This is an example of a provocation, which is where a narcissist does something to draw an emotional reaction from somebody else. I don't mean a provocation in the narrowest form of the word, which is trying to evoke anger, but also to cover other emotions. In this case, Paul's anxiety followed by elation. Remember that Micah is an unaware narcissist, which means that she genuinely has no idea that she's a narcissist and actually thinks that she's a good person. She doesn't know that she needs to control other people and that she's sustained by feeding off the emotional reaction of others. Instead, she'll think that there's some other reason why she's doing this. Perhaps she thinks it'll be a funny joke. Perhaps she thinks it'll make a great TV moment. Perhaps she thinks she wants a bit of revenge on Paul for making her have to wait for him to break up with Amber the previous day. Whatever the reason she tells herself, it's really just an excuse her brain is feeding her because she's unable to take a step back and see the real drivers behind her behavior. In a way, she's lying to herself. This provocation is an example of a narcissist's manipulative behavior. It indicates a few other things too. Firstly, a lack of emotional empathy in her willingness to put Paul through this negative emotion and then laughing when her actions are pointed out to her. It shows that she feels entitled to make another person wait on tenterhooks for her answer. And it also shows a level of grandiosity. Taking a long pause like this is a somewhat dramatic thing to do. It's setting up a bit of a power dynamic where Paul is waiting on bated breath for her to pronounce her answer, as if she's Simon Cowell judging his fate. They both talk about how amazing they feel for a while before returning to the men's and women's living quarters. Paul is congratulated by the other men in the show.
Hell yes! It was honestly so scary. She like drug it out and was like, I thought she was gonna say no. I really did, the way that she was phrasing it, but
Like after you had asked it?
yeah, yeah. Like her response, but she was just fucking with me.
So Paul clearly felt the emotional manipulation from Micah, or as he puts it, she was fucking with him. But it seems like he missed the significance of this red flag. Is somebody who's willing to play with your emotions during such an important moment going to make a caring life partner? Later, Micah and Paul finally get to meet each other in person, and it goes well.
Oh my god. What? I felt like an eternity.
I thought I was gonna pass out.
Oh my god.
We're going to leave Micah and Paul now, and in the next part take a look at what's been happening in Irina's dating life. Thank you for listening.